When people say, don't take life too seriously, it often feels like it's a cliche, so overused and overwrought that it can't be taken serious itself. Life, after all, feels very serious. There are friends and family to care for, life and death to deal with, work that must be done. There are so many stresses and difficulties and worries that when you say that life shouldn't be taken that seriously, you're often met with the idea that you're not taking life seriously enough. For if you're not taking life seriously enough, then how can you possibly be a good citizen of the country that you live in? How can you be a good parent, or a good friend, or a good person? The world is a serious place after all. For most, they're willing to stop right there, that this is life. Life for most people then is just a series of struggles, challenges, upheavals that they have to take seriously, because this is all they have. But in thinking that way, that life is something that they control, that is something they must grapple with and bring into submission, they become like a critic, watching a movie and judging it for what they want it to be, rather than what it is. Finding themselves unable to enjoy the movie they're watching because they're so focused on what the movie could be. This is how most people live their life, truly believing that they have to take control of everything in their life, that the things that aren't working and the things that are painful are somehow an error in their life, rather than just being part of life. People forget. You forget. All the times that you worried and you freaked out and got angry and got sad, and yet at the end, life continued on. Many times the great pains and horrors we think we face that are unsurmountable soon are seen as very conquerable. And the things that weren't, the things that failed, the things you lost, the things you suffered, didn't, however, end you. The world continued to move forward, and the stories continue to be told. It is only in the search for things to be as you want them to be, only in the idea that life is at some point unsatisfying or evil or wrong, that you begin to suffer and lose sight of the truth of your existence. You are not this life. You are not this body. You are not your experiences, the pains, or the suffering. You are existence itself, infinite and eternal, taking shape and form, changing and transforming and experiencing. You are the manifestation of reality in this very moment, in this very time, the universe and all that it is. No past, no future, no story to tell, only that which is an experience. But as long as you hold on to the idea that the person you look at in the mirror each and every day is who you truly are, you will suffer and you will struggle this existence. You will lose yourself to your problems and to the challenges that arise in life. You will see a world of pain and suffering and misery. You will remember all the bad and discount most of the good, holding on to the idea that only in the past were you ever happy, and maybe in the future one day you can be happy again, but never now. Never in this moment, which is all that you truly have. Never right here. Never in the midst of the difficulties and challenges. But there is no future. The future is always now. The future is what happens right now. Every day and every second and every moment is the future. And all there is right now, this moment. But if you blind yourself to the very moment, to right now, to this instant, to what is happening at this very moment, at this very second, then suffering is all that you have. But this isn't your fault. From the moment we were 3 or 4 years old, we were put into school, not to learn and appreciate learning day in and day out, but for the specific reason to be learned enough to eventually contribute to society. And so from about the point we go from grade school to high school to college, all with the idea that we're doing something for the future, told constantly that we must take care of our future, that the present's purpose is to make a better future. And so we begin to despise the present moment, because the present moment, we're told, that we are ignorant and uneducated. The present moment tells us that we must do things we don't want to do in order to have a future we hope is better and given more freedom. And that if we don't do these things, we are failures. Failures in the classroom, failures in society, failures to the world around us. And so we commit ourselves to creating an engaging future, to working endlessly and trying to be the best that we can, judging anyone that isn't working as hard as us in the process. And then we get a job. And in that job where we have been educating ourselves and going to school and getting into debt, we discover that we now have to climb the corporate ladder of that job, that we have to start from the bottom and work our way higher and higher. And by the time we get to the peak of our profession, we begin to realize that it's no more fulfilling than the bottom of our profession. That this thing that we have been pursuing in the name of not being a failure has in the end failed us. That it has failed to provide the satisfaction and joy of accomplishment we thought we would have, that it failed to be everything it was supposed to be for a lifetime of work. that all things we put on hold and all the time we ignored the world around us with only this future in mind was nothing nearly as enjoyable or happy-inducing as had been promised to us from the beginning. Discovering in that instant that we had been ripped off, that if we cannot live fully right here and right now, then the future will always be unsatisfying, as the future will always be in the here and now. It is only when we recognize the truth of our existence, setting the ideas of the future in the past, and living right here and right now in the present moment, that we do truly and completely live for the first time. For in the moment we realize who we truly are, not some separate being living some separate life, but existence itself taking shape and form and experiencing all that is in front of us. And in that moment in time, you will accept the truth, no matter how hard or difficult it is, that you are perfect and complete.